following is a recording from the Destructura forum that took place on July 19th, 2020 in Narva, Estonia, which is right on the Russian border because thought I'd mention that because it's mentioned in the conversation. This is a panel discussion that was done live with questions and answers at the end. And I would like to, in advance, apologize for the sound quality. It was a little bit out of my control, and therefore it is not up to my standards. But nonetheless, the content is very interesting, and I hope you enjoy.
Hi there. Everybody ready? Yeah. Okay. I'm Matthew Doles. I run a podcast called The Wise Fool Art Podcast. The name came about because I think everybody's a little bit wise and a little bit foolish. So it's just, that's my way of going into it. I'm an art professor, an artist myself. I'm from America, but I live in Prague, and I've been honored to sort of be invited here, and hopefully some of you all I will be talking to over the next couple of days. This will be published as a podcast as well, so if anybody doesn't want their voices on a podcast, please do not speak up during the question and answer time. Just FYI. I think that's about it. So generally I want to start off with just like a little bit of introductions. So if you could sort of introduce yourself. The topic of this first panel is the role of art in crisis. And we left that very open-ended intentionally because there are many crises going on throughout the world and many different perspectives to approach it. So, little introductions, please.
Hey, everyone. Once again, I'm Anna Mackiewicz. I'm a former, I would say, opera singer. For 2 years, I'm an artist and activist. I'm from Belarus. I cannot go there because I would be arrested there for my activism. And the value of ethics and empathy and life for me is like the best theme which can be approached by art, something like that.
Hello, my name is Eva Lennuk. I am from here. I'm from Estonia, from Narva. The artistic experience is not a formal experience that I own. So I've been doing music for 14 years of my life. So occasionally I do stand-up. So I consider myself to be an artist who chose the path of studying law. And as funny and hurting it might seem, sometimes those two work out. So for me, this panel is kind of a way to reflect on the perspective of not a professional artist, but some person who is in desperate need of art in the times of crises.
Hello, my name is Sanna Hirvonen. I am from Finland, and I am a dance artist. I do choreography, performance. Also, I also combine poetry, language, voice improvisation a lot in my works. And so far, what I have been doing has in one way or another been connected to the ecological crisis, or many of them, environmental crisis. And that's something that I want to address with my work, and yeah, that's it.
All right, well, let's just continue on with you, actually, since you're already mic'd turned on. So, ecological crisis. So when you're talking about ecological crisis, specifically coming from Finland, because, of course, different cultures have different perspectives on this, what is the sort of contemporary issue that you feel is most important to be thought about and addressed through the arts?
I think that, from my perspective, it is that the environmental crisis is formed I feel very kind of strongly via capitalistic system, and also many other very problematic systems that are happening actively in the world. And also, as a person who lives in Finland in very privileged conditions, I also feel that's something that's if I have the chance to create work from these conditions and take into account the environment, and the crisis, I think I should definitely do that.
All right. What do you think can be done about this at this point? Through the arts again. What's I guess, okay, so let's take it back to the title of the entire topic here, the role of art in crisis. So how does art play a role in helping change the path of these crises?
Well, I think art has this magnificent power of bringing people together, and I mean, through this action of coming together, and also with artists working on these things, I think we are able to imagine futures that do not operate inside this capitalistic structure, or these other very powerful and very harmful structures. So I think what can be done is to imagine something that could then possibly lead into a little bit more concrete societal change.
How do you feel about that capitalistic perspective?
That's a great question. Thank you. If I may, I would kind of, catch the last word of yours. Did I understand correctly that, we need to try a different microscope to look through on the issue of environmental crises going on? So how I understood your statement was, we're looking at solutions, we're looking at the ways the solutions are sought for through a microscope that is initially made in a way to support some things and oppress other things. Oh, your face says that you asked the right question about capitalism. But I do feel like if the children in high school, young people in high school, still do art projects that relate to environmental issues, whereas before high school in like second or third grade they would draw leaves on trees, that it continues to doing environmental art projects in high school. I don't think why we should at some point kind of abolish this in doing to adults. So for me, this microscope of looking onto an issue of environmental crisis through art is not something that should be limited with high school. And sometimes maybe capitalism sees other perspective on that.
I have a feeling capitalism's going to come up again and again, isn't it?
I do really believe so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And how is art a role in your perspective's crisis?
So my perspective of crisis, of course, I would also like to address the environmental crisis because I'm vegan and it's very important to me. And the capitalism and the patriarchy, it all connected. But in my case, in my personal experience, I chose to fight with all of that through my personal experience, because I'm from Belarus, and as you may know or not know, 2 years ago there were peaceful protests because the current regime in Belarus, they occupied our country and they took the power by the force, and there were tortures and killings, mass tortures actually, and the repressions are still going on. My brother is in jail for the comment in Facebook. So that's the reality my friends live in, and I cannot see my family for 2.5 years. So that means that from the August of 2020, all I've been doing in my art, like 99% of my art is glued to this theme of rights of people in Belarus and in the post-Soviet countries. Also, I would say that before the war started, I knew how my art can help people, because I knew how to protest with my art. I knew how to shock people. I knew how to talk to them through their heart. But something broke in me, actually, when the war started, because I personally didn't think that something like this is possible at all. And now I know because my friend died there. He was fighting. And I'm still, this like 4 months, I'm still, I'm looking my way of doing things now because I was lost. And I don't know, when there are such things in this world that should not be in this world like at all, I think that we all should do everything which is in our power to fight with that, and like nothing else. But of course, take the rest, to rest, take time to rest, to like, yeah, I mean, to have the ability to fight it, right? We all need sleep. Yeah, I'm not doing that actually. And while we all will be doing that as an artist, because we are really, like I said like a minute before, that I saw a street art when there was this phrase, art is a weapon, use it. It's like, go on guys, let's do that. And yeah, talking too much.
You're not talking too much. You're welcome to keep talking. That's why you're up here. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
No, I have a question because like I come from a very different culture than probably everybody in this room, and especially all the panelists. Now, I was sort of taught and raised like the need for social responsibility or any sort of like engagement in political positions or anything like this was not necessary as an artist. Now, keeping in mind, I am also of a different generation than you all as well. So like, is this a cultural shift that's happened in the past 15, 20 years where artists have feelings that they should be more ethically responsible towards whatever crisis is coming around them that they are passionate about? Is this something that has been coming up that like I missed out on?
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I don't have the experience from the past 15 to 20 years for sure. I can say that, but at least I think that especially when talking about the ecological crisis, there has been kind of a really strong waking up to the role of the artists and what artists can do in somehow addressing the crisis. And I am very happy about that, because the way I see it is that art has the possibility to change the world. I mean, that's why I'm doing this or trying to do this. And yeah, that's what I would say.
So I have a lot of thoughts, because this is a very thought-provoking question for me personally. So when the COVID crisis started, I wrote this song which is called Four Walls, which was like a jokey song about, you know, how mountain now rests in peace and the skies can breathe again, unlike us, because, you know, we can't always breathe. And I think there was a multi-dimensional approach towards seeing arts as a solution-seeking method in crises. So as an individual attempt to understand what you feel, I think it should be addressed in the schools, in universities. You know, a creative writing class is not something that a person from Estonia should be hearing about in a program in the US. So for me, creative writing course as a person studying law who has multiple credits they should take and forget about anything else that comes in the creative world is not okay. So on an individual level, if you haven't found the path to answers through art yourself, it is somewhat a social liability of the education institution you're studying at.
I take a little offense. I'm a professor, just to be clear.
Oh, sorry.
I'm totally fine with it. It's fine. Academia is a whole issue in and of itself as well.
Wait till I get to my second point. And
Please
my second point being, once we do understand that, you know, art can be served as this microscope into which one can look at the crises, guess what? We need financing for that. So the reason why we're here is due to the fact that, core team and each one of you managed to find the resources, be it the fiscal resources, be it non-monetary resources, to be here. Thus, I think the contribution of every participant is magnificent towards this issue of, we acknowledge the microscope is there, but how are we gonna, disseminate information about it being used? I'm sorry, I get really passionate talking about it. So my question is, individual path towards art as a solution-seeking mechanism in the crises to establishments and institutions, kind of disseminating it, and 3, financial means.
Sorry, I'm chuckling. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the fact that they're having to do a simultaneous translation in Russian to your very passionate speaking. That's all.
You can.
Sorry.
She will be back on this panel, and you can say any words. I challenge you. But yeah.
It's fine. It's just that's what I was laughing at, not you. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. No, but I mean, funding is a whole other issue as well. When it comes to something like trying to make art revolving around a crisis, finding funding is a necessary evil. But how do you also then find funding? Is my mic on? Yeah. Okay, great. It really sounds weird, doesn't it? Okay, good. Okay, good. Great. So anyways, how do you find funding for something that is intentionally sort of contradictory to the system, which is the system which probably ends up funding your artwork, which contradicts the funding model?
Well, I find that many of these topics are somehow kind of on top of the public discussions in the society, and I think that, especially in Finland, I think there is almost there are a lot of projects and a lot of applications that are actually going into especially the environmental crisis. So I don't think it's actually a bad thing to in regards of finding funding.
That's good to hear. How about in Belarus? Or where you're in the UK now, right?
No, I live in Poland.
Sorry.
It's also bad there.
Not sorry you live in Poland. Sorry, I got it wrong.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Well, the thing is, it's a bit strange, but for example, in Poland, I think my friends from Poland from here will agree with me that the ruling party are the assholes, and yeah.
Do you all agree? Polish? Yeah. Okay. Great.
Okay. I hope I will stay in Poland and they will not throw me out after these words. The problem is that they are trying to be democratic, but they are very populistic, and they are pretending to be funding modern art, which is useful to them. Actually, in our think tank topic, we are discussing that funding is a very subjective thing, and the foundations and the governments, parties, political parties, they are funding something that is useful for them, and that's a problem.
I believe we call that propaganda.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe it's capitalism, but yeah.
Yeah.
Capitalism also? Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Advertising, I believe, is what that's also called.
But they are overlooking one thing. For example, Poland is really anti-queer country, unfortunately, and on the government level, on the state level, they are not allowing a lot of things. They are canceling theater performances, etc. Yes, it's going on already, and it's so yeah. And still, they have Netflix campaigns for queer shows. It's they're. I would say they are flirting with the community. We will, you can watch this show, it's okay. But no, here you will not fight for your rights. But they're overlooking the power of we could say Netflix even. People are watching it, and it's helping them to realize some things. So I think that even when the system is given funds to events like that, they are thinking, okay, you can play there, but they are not realizing that they are overlooking the power that we have here. They are underestimating us because they think that they are so powerful, we cannot fight them. But they are wrong.
If I may, I totally agree with that, and I would just like to highlight the fact that, every application submitted to fund this has been a challenge in a way that, those people who fund, they have certain criteria, certain qualifications. Well, hello, yeah, surprise.
Sorry,
that you have to
shocked
meet.
Look on my face.
Yeah,
Shock and awe. Go on.
absolutely thrown aback.
Had no idea.
And the key question here is, how do we overcome those criteria and sustain our thought, our idea? Because it's the quantities that are evaluated upon. How many projects came about after that one project? How many participants were there? What were the outcomes in like financial matters? So for me, the numbers being funded, not ideas being funded, is absolute bad words. So if we're talking about artists, if we cannot yet overturn the system, which I do believe we can, it's just multiple steps to take. If someone is not willing to overturn the system, we can use those criteria to still implement the ideas. The magical notion of you just gotta say what they want to hear and then do what you want with the money and then write a report so that you know that things have been done.
Isn't that what we all do?
Yeah. With our money that we get from employers?
Sure.
Yeah. It's just for some reason the powerful fund givers really just think they have too much power.
They kind of do.
Yeah, but I do think that it's in our hands to answer the questions that they posed in order to get to the criteria and then use the power that we receive in a mean that we find to be the most right.
I'm on your side. I totally hate with such a passion the amount of strings that are attached to funding across the board. Like I wish we lived in a world where people like patrons, basically, like back in the not that I want to live in like the medieval times because that has its own horrible set of situations, but the patron scenario of like, I appreciate what you do. Here's money. Do what you do. And with sort of no questions asked, no strings attached. Love that model. Wish there was more of that. I can't stand, as this podcast is funded by a grant from the EEA. I hate the fact that we have to like quantify it and give numbers, and when it's not about quality, but it's about some sort of quantifiable outcome versus quality of concept, quality of craftsmanship, quality of whatever it is you do. It kind of drives me nuts. I don't know, maybe I'm old in that way, because I feel really old at this conference, by the way. Just you all are under 30, so like I feel quite old, but that's fine.
I don't think that like my generation likes to have the strings attached from funders. I don't think it's
my generation doesn't like strings attached.
So this one hasn't changed. The social liability is kind of getting there, but the strings attached still not liked.
I think it's getting worse.
I would like to go back a little bit to this question of quantity versus quality, because in a way, I mean, kind of naturally also, many artworks and many pieces, and especially when talking about performance and performing arts, they are very much connected to the experience of the artist, of course, but then the experience of the people who experience the art. And in that case, I think it is also from that perspective, it is very complicated to then having to think about the quantity of the people that you can maybe perform the piece to, and especially when kind of revolving around the ideas of or the themes of ecological crisis, which many people have very personal and subjective feelings. Yeah, many people have very personal and subjective feelings about those themes. It's somehow very daunting to then have to give value based on how many people we had in the audience, or if it was made in a bigger city or a smaller city, and what meaning does it have? Yeah.
I wanted to add that it's really strange in like Instagram time or already TikTok time. I also feel like I'm old. Like I see that my video was watched by like 200 people, and I'm like, oh no, it's not much. Like, where are those thousands of people? And then I perform a concert before 50 people, and the audience is full because the place is not very big, and I am satisfied with the feedback. And it's really strange that we are perceiving the people as numbers. It scares me because I'm really empathetic person, and when I see how many people liked my photo after the concert, and I feel that I'm not satisfied with the number, I feel a bit ashamed because like all of those people, like 40 of them, they liked my photo, and I'm really genuinely grateful. And still I perceive them as numbers, and I don't know yet how to fight that.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm of a different generation. I cannot stand social media as a general whole. It's a necessary evil. I guess that's a good question. Is it a necessary evil? Do we even have to participate in this? Or can we simply say, you know what, that form of capitalism, I'm not going to let it rule my life either. As I'm going to post this all on Instagram later, but you know. I mean, is that an issue, though? I mean, social media, personally, I think that's a bit of a crisis in and of itself that we don't really address enough.
That's just a minute of silence to this crisis. Thank
you. Thank you all.
Yeah, because I don't really use social media as a platform to advertise my art. I don't advertise my arts. I don't really have much to say about it, but I think if I were to do that, I would still have to understand, you know, how those, there's this fancy word behind algorithm, Algorithms, right? See, not a mathematician. So I think that if we acknowledge that the social media has become from a source of support to a source of destructiveness, then in order to overcome this, you know, people should be taught what the algorithms do. How can we, you know, somehow influence those? And artists are, you know, the same people who use those algorithms. So I am pro-education in that regard.
Sorry, people with the siren on their phone, we are so near Russia that it's triggering. Please don't do that, please.
I thought it was an air raid alarm. Is it an air raid? It is an air raid alarm. Okay. All right. We've got to sort of wrap this up, but one sort of last little bit I have, there was a question that sort of was in my mind before this panel, which is, how do you keep your enthusiasm for activism in whatever your cause is, with the, and I hate to say it like this, but like with the knowledge that like the change may not happen now, it may not happen for 5 years, 10 years, quite honestly, some of these climate change might not even happen in your lifetime. So like, how do you keep yourself motivated to continue to do the work?
I feel like I have no other choice, really. I feel that I feel like I couldn't do anything else, because the crisis, the ecological crisis, is something that my generation of people, we have been hearing about it for the whole of our lives, and it's just intensifying. It's not getting any better, I fear. And I think there are, I think creating works from that perspective, somehow it still gives me hope. It gives me hope in it gives me hope in the way that I meet people who have brilliant ideas and who are then able to use these brilliant ideas in their works, and then I don't know, there is something magic that's happening, that happens when you create something, and you can feel that someone got something out of it, and not only yourself, for sure. Yeah, but mostly it's the pure need and the feeling of very strong urgency towards the topic.
This is so much responsibility. I'm starting to feel guilty because for me, I would admit that I do use art very personally, so there is no end goal to it. So like, I'm going to do this with my art, or I want to do that with my art. It's just the immediate reaction that I get, which gets me going, not generally in the artsy things that I do, but generally in life. So when you come out in front of people and you tell a joke and you can see them smiling, you know you have done something. When you sing your song to a person in Estonia, in Lithuania, in Ukraine, in the US, and they're like, wow, it made me feel something. That is already a change. So I think that sometimes when you don't have that sense of responsibility towards the greater mission of it all, focusing your needs, like focusing the effect of arts on your needs, for example, on immediate reply or an immediate expression of feelings, is something that can save us in our own little crises. And if we can solve our little crises inside, I don't think we're going to face much more of these.
And I would say that for me it's also a personal thing, but also and responsible thing, two in one, I think, for all of us. Because when I was a child, I thought that I want to save the world. Yes, I have parents' issues, but I genuinely had the crisis when I was a teenager that I didn't had any meaning in my life. I was really struggling with that, and I felt that meaning only when I performed my music, and then when art became a profession, it was tough because I still need to fight for the right to have income. For example, it's hard, and also when you do activistic art, it's like no money at all. For example, for 2 years, person who is mostly responsible for money in our family is my husband, and I'm like working 24/7, but like with, I don't know, no income like at all, that's good that I have that opportunity. And yes, you said really good thing that we may not live till the moment when it gets better, and still, like it was a crisis for me when I understood that it will not probably not everyone will be vegan when I'll be dead. But I hope it would be like 90% of people. And
vegetarian or vegan?
Vegan.
Vegan. Okay,
Yeah.
just making clarification.
Because milk is murder. Sorry, guys. I'm really strict about that. And so I thought that, last 2 years, I was doing that because I can't go home. And it's like OCR, I can't go home. I need to go home. In order to do that, I need to do my activism, because if I don't do that, no one's do that. It all goes frozen, and I will not go home never. And I can't. I need to go home, and that's what keeps me going. That, and also all the people who are struggling in prisons for nothing, or all the people who are fighting for the better of this world, near us, because Poland is very near Ukraine, and if they are fighting with weapons, why should I sit and do nothing? I don't have a choice.
So it seems like passion is a sort of common thread.
I would say it's more not passion. I think that passion is a bit devalues the need to do that.
Fair enough. I apologize.
Actually, Anna told me this word before we started. Just a quick thing. She said, "Art is my activism, and activism is my art." So I just think that it's just a nice thing to say when things are recorded.
I always try to remember to hold on to hope. I mean, it sounds very naive maybe, but I like to hold on to that kind of hope that kind of does not deny all the wrong and horrible things that are happening in the world, but hope as a kind of insisting of something better that we can create together, and that's hope, these inklings of it. I think that's something that really keeps me going. And I mean, the fact that there are so many people together in one place, so many young artists and people who work with the cultural sector and art, I mean, that in itself already gives me a lot of hope. And I think I'm gonna hold on to that very dearly.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
Yeah, I think I know some of you, and I'm part of destructura, as participant, and I don't know if the will make work. It's just that I took some notes because you were speaking about the funds from public sector with like specific aims that are usually like linked with the politics. And at the same time, you're referring to activism, that there's no fund like for specific kinds of activism depending on like the politics of the countries. And I was it's like maybe difficult question, maybe you have thought about it, but do you have idea of what kind of resources to build or to create to counter this issue of like no fun, because it's like we're in this capitalist system. Is this like, do you think there are like possibilities in this like current system to give resources for this kind of art that does not answer to a more like politics currently, like current politics?
I think the first answer is unions. We don't use them as we should. Like unions of artists, for artists like workers, and also the values in the community of activistic art that like we need it, we should do that. And it also would be a responsibility for unions because they are responsible for artists. We really don't use unions. We should do that. It's really great weapon to fight the system.
Amen. I love a good union. Another question.
I'm not a part of the network, but I'm just observing. My question is explicitly political. I do share this anti-capitalist dimension of the conversation. But 20,000 people in the city of Mariupol were dead, not because of capitalism, but because of Russian troops. And it's, also has something to do with this proximity of Russia. Don't you think that the 24th of February has completely changed the agenda when it comes to crisis, when it comes to security, when it comes to left-right distinction? Okay, you can have any type of, reaction to the Polish government, but it's exactly the Polish government that helps millions of Ukrainian refugees, much more, by the way, than any other countries in the world, so you know about that. So what shall we do with that, with a completely changed political agenda after the start of the real war?
Well, I wouldn't say that it changed. I would say that politics lacks ethics. And if politics were ethical enough, this war would not happen at all. And I think that most of the politic parties are responsible for what is happening because they did not react in 2014. They did not react in 2020 for what was happening in Belarus. And for example, like our people could not fight the police with bare hands. And the army was not on our side. And basically, my country is occupied for 2 years. And it allowed Russian terrorists to have the place to occupy. Not how is this word? Help me, please. Расположиться.
Territory, like make a territory on someone.
Yeah. They used this territory. If they would not use this territory, it would not be happening. And also we see how governments reacting. And about Polish government, they are populist, yes, and also they really understand that it will not be ending at the border because they're really close to Ukraine and Belarus, and they are doing it not from the empathy first, but for themselves. I'm not telling that this is bad, but they also really don't have the ethics for us to be proud of them. Because I live in Poland for 6 years, and it's not really good place for living to a woman, to a queer person, or to someone who is not Polish, unfortunately. And I'm half Polish, actually, and I would say that I know a lot of volunteers who has been doing really much better by themselves than Polish government. This all help would not be happening if not people who were organized by themselves, like horizontal hierarchy, not the government, people, like Ukrainian people, Polish people, Belarusian people, they were all living 2 months on the border, and some of them are living there still to help people. Government were sending texts in Polish, like people from Ukraine, they don't know Polish, and the government sent text like you can use them like this, and you can go there and there in Polish. That's ignorance. And yes, they really helped, but mostly it was people, not the government.
I just wish to add that I did not agree with you in the matter of this war being caused by something else than capitalism. So we did not exclude it thoroughly. I would say that there have been a lot of transactions made with partners from Russia, and a lot of transactions are made right now, and those transactions are actually aimed at increasing someone's capital and using it in your own interests without certain limitations imposed by governments. Thus, I do believe that the war has been caused partially because of the capitalism. And answering your question, so there is a more immediate need for instruments to prevent crises and to solve crises, and the main message here is use the instruments, perceive art as the instrument, do your art in a way that will promote peace, that will promote cooperation, that will promote democratic values. Thus, I think changing the agenda does not change the fact that we have to use this instrument to first solve those already happening, and hopefully prevent those that are yet to come.
Kind of as a short note, I would like to say that the way I see it is that war does not necessarily stem from disagreements between left and right, but from people who gather too much power around themselves and gather too much authority so that they cannot be told no.
All right. Well, thank you very much for this conversation. We're going to end it there. Thank you.
Before you go, we would like to thank you for listening all the way to the end of the episode. We would also appreciate it if you would share the podcast with your friends, families, co-workers, and studio mates, anyone with an interest in the arts and creative industries. The building and strengthening of the arts and creative community, both today and in the future, is at the core of our mission for this podcast. You can listen, rate, and subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. We are produced by 5014, and the music was created by Pete Bybee. The Wise Fool Art Podcast is supported in part by an EEA grant from Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway in an effort to work together for a green, competitive, and inclusive Europe. We would also like to thank our partners Hunt Kastner in Prague, Czech Republic, and Kunstsentrene i Norge in Norway. Links to EEA grants and our partner organizations are available in the show notes or on our website, wisefoolpod.com.